And we're being joined by Bolu Michael-Biyi, foreign policy analyst, joins us to discuss this matter. Bolu, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
It's always a pleasure to have you. But let's just get into this matter. A few days ago, we understood that the new Supreme Leader, Mojtaba Khamenei, was injured. But now he's released his first statement saying the Strait of Hormuz should stay closed to pressurize Israel and US. If that actually happens, how big a deal would it be?
All right. Let me start by highlighting the importance of that Strait of Hormuz. You see, that Strait of Hormuz is quite narrow, and if it's closed, it will choke one of the most critical energy arteries in the world. You know, it's a waterway between Iran and Oman, and it's the main route for oil leaving the Persian Gulf. So if that route is blocked, definitely a huge share of global oil supply cannot reach markets. And about 20% of the world's daily supply moves through that particular strait. And it's being used by countries like Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, the UAE. They rely on that route. So it's a very important trade route for oil. So the real constraint is the geography. The Gulf region, they don't have, that many alternative pipelines to bypass that particular strait. So that means that oil cannot physically reach the global market without passing that through that channel. So I think the big leverage point would be military and naval control of the waterway. I'm aware that the United States and allied forces, they usually patrol that area just to ensure that the shipping lanes are opened. So if they can continue that, patrol surveillance to force the shipping routes to remain open, that can reduce the economic shock and stabilize the oil markets.
Well, before we went on that break, I said I was going to ask you, staying with the Strait of Hormuz, how is that even going to, or how is it, why is it, well, if I say why, you will say, okay, because Nigeria's crude is sold at global market prices, so no problem, let's see that. But how is that going to affect Nigeria, seeing that Nigeria's crude is actually sold within its territory, so to speak? It doesn't need the Strait of Hormuz. Would that be a problem in itself?
Yeah, there's no problem. It's actually a win-win situation for Nigeria, because the increase in the global oil prices definitely means that Nigeria would make more money this season. You don't forget that there's an organization of petroleum exporting countries, and also there's a fixed price, the global price. There are certain standards and rules that Nigeria must not try to maneuver. That would be unfair practices in terms of the global market. They have to stay consistent across board. So the hand of Nigeria is kind of tied in a way, but it would increase the government's revenue. It will also, because Nigeria basically rely on exports, it will earn more money for the government, for Nigeria, basically. So it's a positive turnaround for Nigeria. However, it's not a good situation for the everyday person, day-to-day person, the masses, because it will increase the increase in the oil prices would definitely force people to increase the cost of goods and services because of the increase in the cost of production and also logistics. So it's good and it's bad.
It's good for the government but bad for the resident. Now let's go back and talk about the Speaker of the Congress, so to speak, in Iran, saying if any strike is done, if anyone hits their island nations or islands, that there will be a stronger response from Iran. How would that play out? I mean, Israel and the US have said they are not stopping until it is over.
Okay, you see, Iran is likely to respond openly and directly, rather than using proxies in this kind of situation. The US sometimes they like to use proxies, but it's not in Iran's character to use proxies. I think from what we've seen, from how they've reacted in previous instances, we see them sending missiles, drone, and naval harassment. We see a lot of naval harassment in this kind of situation. But the Iranian leader has said it clearly that there will be retaliation if the U.S. targets islands like Abu Musa and the rest of that. So both Iran and the United States, they know the cost of this war. In the last 6 days, the United States has spent over $11 billion on this particular war. And so I feel what both countries are doing is that they create a pattern whereby each side, they kind of escalate just enough to show their strength, but they avoid crossing that line that can lead to the full-blown war or full-blown force. Because both countries are not expressly declared war, we still consider it a conflict. Until then, it's not a war. So I would want to see countries like Oman and Qatar to step in, because they are usually the perennial back channel diplomacy countries, but so that they should try and mediate, step into their traditional role, so that this conflict does not escalate.
Well, let's hope that they will hear this call and step in, because they are actually getting a bit the backlash of this conflict between these nations. Thank you so much. Bolu Michael-Biyi is a foreign policy analyst and joins us from Eswatini. Thank you for coming in this evening. I wish you well.
Thank you for having me.